Here at Simon Says Stamp, we offer many stamp building stamp sets that allow you to create beautiful dimensional stamped images with lots of color and unique designs. Sometimes it can be tricky to line these stamps up, and so we wanted to share with you our best tricks for getting perfect stamp alignment every time. It's always convenient to have the coordinating dies for any stamp set, but it can be especially helpful when you have the coordinating dies for one of our stamp building stamp sets, because you can use these as a template to help you guide your way through the stamp building. So I'm using two different sets here from our Simon Says Stamp collection. This is European Street and also Printmaking Hearts. Whenever I have one of these sets, I always take the coordinating dies and cut it into a scrap of paper so I can use this as a template for aligning my stamps. I'll save this template then with my dies so that way I can keep it handy every time I want to use this set. So I always lay the guide over top of the paper I want to stamp on, and then using that guide, I'm going to align my stamps within it so that way I can see exactly where they're going to stamp. This way I know for sure that they're going to be aligned perfectly centered inside of the coordinating dies. That way if I want to die cut it, I know first off it will die cut beautifully, but two, even if I don't want to die cut and I just want to simply stamp with this, the die cut outline guide is perfect for helping me use this as a convenient and easy way to get these perfectly aligned. In addition, I also find it helpful to have some plastic on hand for using as a tester when you're stamping. Here I'm using our Simon Says Stamp alignment guide to stamp on with this next layer to make sure that I'm absolutely perfectly happy with how this is going to lay out. So once I pick up the door of my MISTI, you can see exactly where this is going to be placed, and I'm really happy with it. So I can now remove the plastic and then go ahead and stamp on top of my paper. If I wasn't happy with it, I could then clean off my stamp and readjust everything until I get the right look. So now I can get a perfect placement for all three of these layers, and now I have these beautiful hearts stamped in no time at all, made possible by that die cut guide. That die cut guide is great for not just stamping directly onto paper, but it's also fantastic for using with coordinating die cuts. So here I've die cut the European Street from some white cardstock, and using my guide, I'm going to nest these into the guide, so that way I can not only get a perfect alignment for these pieces because of the die cut outline, but I'm also going to have them already cut so that way I can use them on my card. So I'll just now go through the process of stamping all my pieces, filling in the shapes so that way I get these adorable little houses. And of course, I can always use my alignment guide to give me extra assurance that I'm happy with my placement for my stamping. This is a great way to be able to make sure that you're going to get a beautiful aligned image. So we've covered how to use our stamp building sets with a die cut guide. But what about if you don't have the coordinating dies? You can still use our stamp building stamp sets, and I'm going to show you how to make a template that you can use to help you align your images simply for stamping. For this, you're going to want some acetate. I'm using our Simon Says Stamp lightweight acetate, and I'm going to be stamping on this using our Printmaking Hearts stamp set. We're going to stamp all three of these layers onto a piece of acetate. So we want a piece of acetate for each layer of your stamp building set. These have a tendency to stick to the stamps, but they peel off really easy. For stamping, you're going to want to use a permanent stamping ink. I'm using StazOn Jet Black ink. The color really doesn't matter. You just want something that's going to show up really well, and you want something that's going to dry on the acetate. So this is why I'm using the StazOn ink. I'm going to ink up each of the three layers of my Printmaking Hearts stamp, and this way I'm going to have then a template for each layer that builds the image. So I'm going to start first with one of the layers. It doesn't matter which layer you use first. I'm going to stamp that one down so I have my placement set. Now I'm going to take one of my templates and I'm going to align this over top of my stamping so that way I can see where the next layer should go. I'm going to hold this down inside of my MISTI tool with a magnet to make sure it doesn't shift, and then I'm going to carefully align my stamps over top of that guide so that way I can see exactly where they're going to end up stamping when we go on to the next step. We do need to pick this up with our tool, so I'm going to go ahead and pick this up with the door of my MISTI, peel off the template, and then ink up my stamp and stamp this down over top of my first layer. So now I have the second piece of this image built, and this is lining up beautifully. We're going to take our third and final layer and line this one up over top of the stamping, figuring out our exact placement, using the magnet to hold it in place, and then you'll just carefully align the stamps over top of your template. So these templates you're going to want to save for future use because these are going to give you a really good guide for where your stamping is going to end up, and it's going to provide you beautiful stamping results without needing dies. Our Simons and stamp building sets are fantastic with or without the dies, and you can get beautiful dimensional images in no time at all. I hope by watching this video and learning these stamp building tricks, you're going to feel confident in creating beautiful card projects with this type of stamp set. If you're interested in any of the products that were mentioned today, you can find them below in the video description. And don't forget to leave us comments if you have any questions. Thanks so much for watching this video, and have a wonderful day.
I'm Heidi, Simon's mama and founder at SimonsSaysStamp.com. Thank you so much for watching our video. If you like what you just saw, be sure to press the thumbs up and subscribe to see more great content.